session. And if you have any questions, just pop them into the chat and hopefully we will get to them. So welcome to our July webinar, and happy St. James's Day, and which is this weekend. So it's a big day in Santiago de Compostela. We're going to do a Q&A with myself, and Roland is there. He's going to say hello now.
Yeah. Hello. Hello. So yeah, I'm Roland. So I started the business a few years ago, along with Jeremy, or almost along with Jeremy. Really, I'm taking care more of the part of the product and IT of the business at the moment, really, where Jeremy is running the show. So we both have lots of experience in terms of the Camino. We've walked or cycled most of the routes. So so we say we're gonna answer a few Q&A. I hope we won't let you down, guys, on that.
Very good. So I'm just going to look at, so it's a question there, start from the top from Cindy, and it says, can you please clarify what vaccine documents is needed when entering France and Spain, and is our CDC record enough? So at present, what we do advise is that you definitely get in contact with your airline, because they are your gatekeepers and they will know exactly what requirements, if any, you need. Now, at this present time, getting into the EU in general, which does include Spain, France, Portugal, Italy, where we offer the tours, there are no documentation needed as far as we understand. That is not to say things can change dramatically, which we've seen and experienced that they can. But please do get in touch with either the local embassy or with your airline, because as I said, the airline are your gatekeepers. But at present, you can travel as normal. So Roland might take the next one.
Yeah, I just gonna just say we're not exactly sure, but according to, if you go to the US embassy consulate or to the airline, they generally will require you to be vaccinated. That's the easiest answer really for that. After that, not really sure if you're not vaccinated. There may be a few red tape to go over, but yeah, let you check that. So yeah. Okay, I had a chat on the bottom right, but I don't have the chat anymore. So just give me a second there.
I can pop in the next one then. So the gratuities. So Sharon's asked about the culture of gratuities in Spain. And so I know in America, which I think a lot of you are from, generally you tip everybody at around 10%. So tipping in Spain is mostly not included in any of the services you provide. It is expected if you feel that whoever's giving you the service is giving you a good service. But in general, it's not the same culture as it would be in the US. So you don't have to tip after every round of drinks. But after you finish a service or a meal, or if you feel that a tip is adequate or appropriate, you can give a tip, and 10% is absolutely fine. So I hope that answers that question, and Roland, pop on to the next one.
Yeah, in regards to the refund policy, first of all, when you book with us, there is a deposit that is non-refundable. So we require 20% of the deposit to work on your trip. And then after, there is a table of refund depending on when you want to cancel. I think under 60 days, there is no refund. So you've got to be sure what tour you want to do, and it's really what you want to do. So under 60 days, I think there's no refund. You can go to CaminoWays.com/terms. It's also at the bottom of CaminoWays.com page. You will see there's a link to our terms and condition. Well, so that's the short answer for it. Yep.
Yeah, just to add to that very quickly, a lot of people are asking about postponements and facilities like that. They were put in place during the COVID emergency. They've now been removed, so there are no postponements allowed anymore. So we're back to what we would describe as normal travel normal travel terms and conditions. So all companies have reverted to that. So that's also something to know. But please do read the terms and conditions in full. So Marilyn has asked, what's the best footwear for the terrain on an easy walking, a spiritual or easy walking Portuguese? So Really, footwear is essentially what suits you. My advice is that most of you or some of you may have done some walking or hiking in the past and you know what's comfortable for your feet. Please do so. The best piece of advice is don't go buy new shoes or boots and go walking in them straight away, because they will hurt your feet. Definitely get some now, wear them in. And also that gives you the opportunity to change them if you feel they're not right. The outdoor stores are fantastic these days. The people in those stores are very knowledgeable. Go to those stores, tell them what you're doing, and they will offer you the correct type of footwear for your feet, whether they're wide, long, whatever they may be. So in America, the REI stores, I know their staff in there, they know the Camino, they're very knowledgeable. In the UK, there's Cotswolds Outdoors, and if anyone's there from any countries, you can ask. But generally, the good outdoor retail stores will have fantastic gear for you all, and they'll also have fantastic advice. Generally, you're looking for trail runners, which are flexible soled, with a little bit of wide to stop to prevent any turning on your ankle. That's probably the best footwear for all of the Camino, not just for the routes that you mentioned there. So thank you, Marilyn.
Yeah, the next question from Teresa was, what do I do with my bike if I'm biking and I have the bike? What do I do with the bike overnight? So generally, if you ask your hotel, they have always a safe place inside the hotel to keep your bike. Otherwise, if you rent it with us, you have also a lock. So, but if you're in a big city, I would definitely ask the hotel where you can put the bike, and to keep it overnight inside. It's never been really of an issue. If you book with us, generally we take the hotels that are okay to accept the bikes. We don't know that many hotels that don't want really bicycles. So I think it's not a big issue really. So.
Yeah, I mean, the hotels are extremely helpful with the bikes, and they'll tell you where the best place is to store them when you get to the hotel. That's the quick answer to that as well, just to add to Roland. Thank you. So Marilyn has asked another question, if it's the same Marilyn. Will there be notifications on fires on the Camino in general? So specifically mentioned the Portuguese route. Obviously, there's some very hot weather going on at the moment, which is causing some fires. Our advice again is to keep in touch with kind of local media in those areas you're going to. They will inform you of if there's any emergencies or fires in those areas. At the moment, it is our understanding that there is no problems on the actual route of the Camino, but if there is, you will be directed on how you can move around the fire safely, and that's the main thing. So your Camino, the fires are quite local, specifically around the routes as well. But if there is any issues, they will stop you and they'll give you advice on how to move around those, and then you can take up the Camino once when you're to the other side of that fire. And then there's just trekking poles there within the same question. Buying trekking poles, since you can't be carried on the plane. I mean, you can buy collapsible poles and put them in your bag if you're checking in your bag. That's no problem at all. But there's plenty of places to buy poles once when you arrive on the Camino. And in fact, they recycle a lot of poles. A lot of people leave their poles in Santiago and they're recycled back through the kind of shops in all the towns and villages throughout the routes. So you'll see them kind of for sale outside of a lot of the shops, even the grocery shops, and any of the kind of I suppose the clothing shops on the Camino, and it's very easy to buy them when you're there, so there's no problem there at all. So thank you.
The next question, Teresa, is which section not to do by bike? All the route we offer are okay by walking and cycling. There is only one that I have at the back of my mind that is particularly difficult for a few days. I mean, is the first part of the Northern Way between San Sebastian and Bilbao. That one is tough because you got to push your bike up and down for a little while, but the rest of the route are pretty good. The French Way has actually trails that are specific for cyclists when it's too narrow. So the French Way has a specific trail. It's good because there's more people as well. So cyclists don't bother walkers. Now, the other route have much less people. So it's not a big issue for the cyclist. Just to be aware for people that consider e-bike, e-bike are not necessarily more easy than bikes if you've never used it. You still have to be able, you still have to push your bike, push the pedal of your bike. You still have to do some sort of effort. So, if you've never done bicycle and you go for an e-bike, it's not like a motorbike, right? So you have a battery and you have an autonomy on the battery as well. So you must, you must use the e-bike like it would be a motorbike, really. But to come back to the question, no, all the Camino ways are suitable for walking and for biking. So yeah, it's fine.
Very good. And Cindy there has asked again about the fires on the Camino. Again, according to our knowledge, there's no issues on the Camino as yet. That's not to say that can change. We're still going through a very hot period. It's really where this is the kind of season when it can happen, July, August. When you're into September, it'd be very unlikely there will be any. That's not to say there won't. As I said before, if there are any fires that affect your journey, they will move you safely around that area, and they'll have information about to do that in that location. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, Roland, take the next one.
Pastor, back to the tipping. Honestly, when you tip at the restaurant. You don't really tip people all over the place. Like taxi, you don't tip. Like people in the hotel, you don't tip. The only place you would tip in Europe would be maybe your guide, of course, your guide, and the restaurant. But we're not really tipping. Maybe, if you're in a 5-star hotel, maybe if they bring you the luggage upstairs, they'll expect maybe €2 or something like that. But we're not used to tip or everyone in Europe. So restaurant and maybe guides, and I don't know. I think that's pretty much it, Jeremy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really people you kind of deal directly with for a prolonged period. So your server at a restaurant, obviously the guide was mentioned. People like our baggage transfer guys, you really won't see them, to be honest with you, because they pick up your bag from the lobby and they'll drop it to the next lobby of the hotel. So you actually won't see them. So you can't really tip them. So it is. So it's really the people that you kind of have a prolonged experience with. So Christina's asked about the type of bikes we rent. Roland's already mentioned the e-bikes, which definitely, if you're doing any kind of biking on the Camino, we do recommend that you do have some experience, especially in a level of maintenance, such as being able to change a tire, being able to fix a chain. Because if it does break down, if you do get a puncture or if you break a chain, you are on your own. It is self-supported, so you would need that kind of knowledge. And we do have a pack in the panniers that will help you repair any punctures or anything like that. So the type of bikes we do offer in general, push bikes, are the hybrid. So hybrid meaning that they're good for trail and good for road. So they're not pure mountain bikes or they're not pure road bikes. So they're actually like very typical bike, bit thicker wheels, very good brakes, and generally around the kind of 20 gears or so. So they're very good hybrid bikes. The e-bikes are trail hybrid bikes as well. And they're excellent, hard wearing, very good. And you need to be very careful on an e-bike because they are motorized, and you will, if you've never used them before, it takes a little bit of getting used to when you get on them. So again, my advice is to try them out before you go. So thank you.
Great. Yeah, how to get from the airport in Paris to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. So between Paris and Saint-Jean, there's about 1,000 kilometers. Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, it's the beginning of the Camino Frances. It's in the Pyrenees. It's quite remote. It's at the border. And so how to get there? So from Paris, there's two ways. You can take a train. It takes about 5 hours, I think, to go to Bayonne. And from Bayonne, you change train and you have another train for an hour that go to Saint-Jean. The connection, last time I tried, there's a few trains, about an hour connection at the Bayonne and train station. The other option is to fly from Paris to Biarritz and then go to Bayonne train station. There's shuttle all the time. It takes 10 minutes. So basically, I repeat, Paris to Bayonne and Bayonne to Saint-Jean, or Paris fly to Biarritz and go to Bayonne to Saint-Jean. So it's easy enough, yeah, to do that. Then a taxi from Bayonne or Biarritz, whatever, it's something like about 140, 150 euro for the journey. So yeah, it's easy enough.
Thank you for that. And so from Seawalker, we have, for those who have traveled both on the Camino Frances and the St. Francis Way, so the Camino Frances going from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port to Saint-Jean to Santiago de Compostela, and the St. Francis Way, St. Francis of Assisi, walking from Assisi in Italy to Rome. So the question, which is more difficult given the St. Francis Way is shorter, but more strenuous than the Camino Santiago? So you've kind of answered the question. The St. Francis Way is a lot more challenging. It's not very well walked. It is through the kind of the spine of the mountains coming through the middle of Italy. It's not well marked. The accommodation is quite challenging on this route as well. So I would suggest, if you're thinking about the St. Francis Way, please think strongly, because you do need some experience in navigation, and you do need to be quite fit and strong to do this route, because it is quite challenging. As averse to the French way from Saint-Jean to Santiago, obviously very well marked, very well walked, very, very popular, specifically as you get closer to Santiago de Compostela, and it's really open to everybody. But for the St. Francis Way, somebody with a little bit of experience of trail walking and map reading, I would advise.
Yeah, in regards to the bike rental, if you go with us, obviously, the bike, the helmet is included, but some people, they just prefer to bring out their own. If you're experienced cyclist, you may just bring your own. Otherwise, yeah, we include it. It's a good helmet. It's in good condition, and it's newish, you know. So yeah, we include it. Just take the next one. The distance between the restroom. On the Camino Frances, you got a little cafe every 5 kilometers. So 5 kilometers, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half walking, or 10 minutes cycling. So that's the Camino Frances. On the other one that are a bit more remote, every 10, 15 kilometers, you got a bar, cafe, restaurant, hotel, or whatever. That's where you can find the restroom. Public restroom in the big town and villages every 20 kilometers. But as I said, you have cafe, restaurant all over the place. So it's not an issue at all.
Yeah, and a similar question from Christina about water and availability of water. I always say, no matter what, if you're walking for 4 or 5 hours, please ensure that you are always carrying water. You can fill up from the taps in Spain. The water is absolutely clean and very good to drink. So bring some good water bottles. So just to ensure that you have water, always bring it. And so about 2 liters per day. But as Roland said, about every 5 kilometers, there is a cafe or in a village or somewhere like that you can fill up your water and replenish it. So you will be all right for water. But there is plenty of water available, but don't rely on that. Always bring enough for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Bus available, yeah, between villages. Yeah. So if, for example, you cannot walk because you don't want to walk one day, there's buses that serve each village at least once a day. So yes, but a bus is like €1.50. Okay, that's the price of your ticket. But a taxi in Spain is about €1 per kilometer. So you know that every day you got about 20K. Is that what, 12 miles or something? So about 20 kilometers, €20. So if one day you just don't want to walk, you can either take your bus at €1.50 at a certain time, or you take a door-to-door. You ask your hotel at the morning at the reception, you say, give me a taxi. Taxi will be €20, door-to-door to the next hotel. It's going to take a quarter of the time. So it's up to you, but it's easy enough.
And so Scott has asked a very relevant question, which is, how busy do you think the Camino French way will be starting the second week of September. So September is traditionally one of the busiest months on the Camino, specifically for people coming from English-speaking countries. So it is busy, but yeah, we book your hotels. We also do your luggage transfer, so you have actually nothing to worry about. And when people say busy on the Camino, what does that entail and what does that mean? It's not like you're walking down a street in a busy city and you have people kind of bustling along the route. That's never the case. So when you're walking the route, there will be people in front of you, there will be people behind you, and there will be people passing you out on bikes. So you're never alone on the Camino, which is part of the experience and one of the part of the great parts of the experience. The fact that you get to meet and chat with lots of other people walking, but you're not kind of trying to push your way through crowds. That's not the case. Obviously, as you get closer to Santiago de Compostela, specifically on the last day, there's quite an atmosphere and a bustle of people as you're coming into the city. And again, that's a fantastic experience. So I think busy on the Camino, if you're booking with us, you're fine because everything is booked for you. If you're trying to do a self-supportive through the hostels, it is very challenging to find rooms.
The other question is about the Camino Spiritual, and Spiritual, it's a route, kind of new route we launched about 2 years ago, just before COVID. It's a variation of the Portuguese route, basically, and it's one day where you take a boat. So you walk a few days, and then one of the day you take the boat and you cruise that sort of river up to Padrón. The question is where, if I want an extra night, where do I put my extra night? Well, first you arrive in Vigo. It's a great city. You can put an extra night there. It's a great city, super historic center, fantastic food right on the coast. And so Vigo is a good option. Pontevedra is one of the top cities in Galicia as well. It's not that big. It's maybe 80,000 inhabitants or maybe 100,000, but it's not that big. It doesn't feel big anyway. So Pontevedra, right in the middle of that route, right in the middle. It's a fantastic place. It's on the side of the sea as well, a big estuary type thing, nice historic center, fantastic food. So, and then obviously, if you have enough nights, just spend absolutely a night in Santiago. It's the best place in Spain. So you've got this massive historic center, fully pedestrianized, with thousands of restaurant bars and all of that. It's a really, really good fun. And you can also always continue, take a day tour to Finisterre. So Finisterre is the end of the world. It's the sort of route at the edge, that goes to the Atlantic Ocean, to the cliff and the lighthouse. It's really beautiful. So definitely you've got Vigo at the beginning, Pontevedra in the middle, and also Santiago at the end. My advice is also valid for the Portuguese way, because Portuguese way is actually the same sort of route minus the variant. So Pontevedra is definitely a highlight.
So Teresa's asked, which I might get Roland to answer because I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. And it's, will the taxi transport me and my rental bike, or will the bus take me and my bike as well? So I'm not 100% sure of that. So maybe Roland can cover that.
Will a taxi transport me and my rental bike if I need to take one? No, sorry, we cannot transfer your bike. If you need to transfer a bike, then, or yourself, just go to reception of your hotel, ask for the hotel to book a taxi for you that morning to transfer you and your bike, and tell us that you wish to cancel your luggage transfer. You can take everything together in the taxi. But we don't have any transporter to transfer your bike and yourself and your bike and a bike on the morning if you decide not to walk it. We have transporters that are doing only bags. They cannot transfer people. Okay, it's only for the bags, and then for the bike, it's another story because they are not equipped for that. So yeah, the best is when you need a taxi or something extra, you go in the morning, you ask your hotel, and they are super reactive. In 5-10 minutes, they get you your taxi, a local taxi as well at the best cost, because they come from the village or the town they're calling from.
Sorry to interrupt. There's just less than 4 minutes. I've answered the next two questions in the chat, but if you skip down, there is Marilyn Hoffman has a question about the spiritual route, and then there's one other question under that, and I'm afraid I don't think we'll have time for any more questions after that.
Okay, so yeah, Marin's asked for the spiritual, thank you, Sarah. So Marin's asked for the spiritual route, mid-September, early October, books are still available. Well, it's self-guided, so absolutely it is still available. You just need to get your request into us. And then we can arrange your hotels. We don't have a guided tour in that, so it is self-guided, and yes, and it is available.
Yeah, and Vigo, just